makers, and welcome back to Minerva. I'm Annie.
And I'm Gavin.
And this week we're going to be talking about episode 5 of Sewing Bee, which was Reduce, Reuse, Recycle Week. If you haven't caught the episode yet, you might want to save this video for later, because we will be talking about some spoilers, talking through the pattern challenges, who won and who went home. So go and catch it on iPlayer if you've not watched it already, and then come back and watch this video. Before we get into the challenges though, Gavin, what are you wearing this week?
Thank you very much for asking. Today I am wearing the Love Notions men's Bandcamp shirt. This is a PDF pattern from lovenotions.com. And this particular one is in our Surreal Spots linen viscose from the Minerva exclusive range. And also, this is a Mind the Maker viscose crepe, and I picked up a remnant of this at our last Minerva end of roll sale.
Very on theme.
Very on theme. So I thought I'd wear this one today because this particular remnant was less than a metre. Oh. So there absolutely was not enough to make a shirt out of it, but I just love the fabric. And this is a great pattern for using those kind of remnants. I think anything that's got panels to it that lets you mix and match different fabrics together is a great opportunity for a bit of upcycling using up scraps. So yeah. And how about yourself?
I'm wearing the Friday Pattern Company Saltwater Slip, so it's kind of this 90s style slip dress, and I've got it in our Dante's Dreamscape viscose challis, which is really lovely for this quite hot, sticky weather we seem to be having this week.
It's warm out there.
It is very.
Quite warm in here too. So as Annie says, it's Reduce, Reuse, Recycle Week on the Sewing Bee. Bit of a perennial favourite now.
Yeah.
I think something that I think is close to a lot of makers' hearts.
Yeah.
So I think there's few makers who, we're not fast fashion people.
No.
We want something to make, something that's going to last. And having those skills gives you that opportunity to mend, to reuse, to bring upcycling into your makes.
Definitely. I think talking about mending as well, I think when you've put so much work into a garment that you've made yourself, you are so much more likely to mend it and really want to keep it, look after it, wash it properly and everything. Whereas, if you just bought something for a £5, you chuck it in the washing machine and you think, oh, if it gets ruined, it's,
Yeah, I've never thrown away anything that I've made.
No.
At worst, it's in the mending pile.
Yeah.
I've mended a few already, and then I think I've got one or two which are there to be upcycled into something else later. We'll see when that happens.
Yeah, I mean, I have also got a mending pile that has been going on for some time, but I will get round to it, and that's the important bit.
We've all got one. So we kicked off this time round with the pattern challenge, and this time the sewers were tasked with taking on the challenge of a zero waste pattern. Now, if you haven't used a zero waste pattern before, how this works is rather than getting the pattern and all the pattern pieces, you're rather given measurements, and you start off, you use the full width of the fabric, and then absolutely no fabric gets wasted. So this time round they were tasked to make a zero waste workwear jacket. So a jacket with sleeves, a collar, button placket front, lots of pockets. So there was lots of detail going on. But the real challenge was using their math skills to measure everything out.
Yeah.
I was impressed. They had 4 hours to do this, which is not an awful lot of time for that. But I was impressed that they were able to get a full workwear jacket out of 137, very specific, centimetres of fabric, which that's not a lot.
It's not a lot.
So I think that shows you one of the benefits of zero waste patterns. You can really, if you can squeeze the absolute maximum out of that space, you do end up with a one size fits all situation.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was impressed with what they did.
Yeah, I think it's good to see that you don't always need, loads and loads of fabric to make, the workwear jacket, and that had like 4 pockets on it as well. It had the collar. It wasn't
basic.
A simple jacket. No.
Yeah.
Have you ever tackled a zero waste pattern yourself?
Well, it's funny. I have literally got a zero waste workwear jacket pattern sitting in my PDF pile that I bought, I think, a couple of years ago. Have I tackled it? No, not yet. But maybe
inspired?
Maybe I'm a little bit more inspired to give it a go, because I think it's a different challenge.
Yeah, definitely.
And one that I think the makers this time, some of them excelled at, some of them certainly struggled a little bit more.
Yeah.
So, what did you think?
I thought I really liked the style of the jacket, the kind of workwear style. I think it was really clear, like you say, some of the makers struggled a lot more, but I think you've got that kind of issue of if you make that very first measurement wrong, everything's going to be off. You're really going to struggle. You can't recut any pieces. You know, you can't really fix your mistakes if you've made one from the start because you just have this one piece of fabric.
It's clearly quite an unforgiving way of working.
Yeah.
This is absolutely that tenet of, you know, measure twice, cut once. Yeah. Poor Jess went a bit wrong with her initial measurement at the start, and it just threw everything out.
Just all the pattern pieces then were just the wrong size, so she ended up with kind of different heights on her collar at the end.
The sides of her front weren't the same.
Weren't matching up, and I think it was...
I felt awful for Jess because she was so punished for basically one mistake. And the rest of her sewing, fair enough, it wasn't great, but I think she was so thrown by making that fundamental error.
Yeah, it would throw you off right from the start, and then I think the stress of knowing that there's nothing you can do about it, you just have to power through and sew as best you can.
Good for her for getting a garment finished and on the mannequin, because that must have been 4 stressful hours for Jess. Yes. One that I thought I would definitely want to talk about was Stuart's, because I feel like he was very smart. He was like, right, what's the most Patrick Grant fabric that they've got here? And picked that lovely dark green twill cord fabric. And it was a lovely fabric, and Patrick himself said, oh yeah, I could see myself wearing that. So I think he had a bit of issues there. It was a bit wobbly. He didn't get the right amount of buttons. Yeah. But I thought it was a very smart looking jacket at the end of the day.
Yeah, definitely. I really liked Orla's, and I think Orla gave herself that extra challenge of doing contrast top stitching. I love the look of contrast top stitching.
I love some top stitching detail.
Never tried it myself because I think it would just end up being a little bit wibbly wobbly, but Orla's looked fantastic. It was really neat lines, straight lines. I love the kind of bubblegum pink colour that she picked.
It was a really fun combination of colours. I do like a bit of top stitching. I do it quite a lot, but I take my time with it. I think to give yourself that challenge when you're up against the clock was very brave, but she did an absolutely super job on that. Yeah. If we're talking bold, then I thought Kaz's bright pink canvas was a really joyful choice. Yes. She did a really nice job, I thought, of it. But again, it was the buttons, I think, that were her undoing. Yeah. Her top one wasn't quite high enough for the workwear style, and the rest seemed kind of bunched up. I don't know if she missed one at the bottom.
I think maybe again it's the kind of measuring thing. Once you measure one button in the wrong place, they're all going to end up in the wrong place, and just kind of trying to get that even spacing. I really loved, again talking about bold ones, I really love Kit. So Kit was the only person who used a patterned fabric. Yeah. And they used this gorgeous like checked rainbow colour. They brought in different coloured buttons.
I thought that was a fun choice.
The colours in the jacket, so I thought that was really fun and it really stood out.
It was nice to see that the judges appreciated that.
Yeah.
Because I was worried that the judges would feel like that maybe took away from the utilitarian kind of workwear vibe, but just because something's workwear doesn't mean it can't be fun. I think it shows you can definitely
have fun workwear,
Yeah, absolutely. In terms of one that I think I would absolutely wear, I think was Yasmin's. Yes. She went for that kind of slightly soft mid-blue, I think it was a twill or a canvas, but really beautifully sewn. I thought she did a super job. Again, it was the buttons, I think, that just kind of misaligned things for her. Likewise, Dan, I think he's had so many issues with collars over the last few weeks that he spent so much time trying to make sure that his collar was perfect. And it was.
It was.
But then ran out of time to do the buttons and the buttonholes.
I think the buttons seem to be a lot of people's downfall, but again, it's that kind of the last thing you've got to do. Yeah. If you've spent lots of time doing your measuring, which you're going to, then, right at the end, trying to rush your buttons and your buttonholes, you're going to think, I'll just get it on a mannequin.
And then I think last of all then, answers on a postcard here. How did Gaynor manage to get her sleeves like 4 inches longer than everybody else, but everything else seemed to still work?
I didn't understand that.
How did she manage that?
I don't know. I was wondering, did she cut her like pattern pieces for the body shorter? But then I would have thought Patrick and Esme would have picked up on that.
Surely that would have been noticeable.
Yeah. I didn't understand.
I don't know what magic she did there. I mean, it would have been. It's one of those things. If that was your final garment, you could fix that up by just
definitely.
either shortening the sleeves or doing a rolled up cuff or something. Because otherwise, I thought it was really nice. I loved that bright mustard yellow that she'd
really
used.
Nice. Yeah, I think she also struggled with getting like her buttons on at the end. But yeah, a lot of them struggled with that. But yeah, those sleeves was.
That was just
it baffled
an
me,
absolute mystery. So we don't have any zero waste patterns here at Minerva. What we will do though is I'm going to pop some links down below to a few good sources for zero waste patterns. I think if you want specifically a zero waste pattern like the one that was on the show, then Birgitta Helmersson's zero waste workwear jacket also happens to be the one I've got in my to-do list. That one is very similar to the one on the show. It's got the buttons, it's got the pockets, it's got a similar collar. It's quite a similar vibe, and she's very well regarded for her patterns. But there's another couple of designers that we definitely recommend, so we'll pop those in the list below. And we've also got a fab video by Joe on how to get your head around zero waste patterns and how to unlock the kind of mystery of how they work. So that's definitely worth a watch as well. What we have picked out though is a few patterns that will give you a similar kind of look. If you want something that's going to require a little bit less maths. You don't need Kit's maths degree to do these ones.
No, but you will get the kind of utility style. So the first one that we've picked out is the Minerva exclusive Tracy jacket.
As modelled here.
Here on our mannequin. I haven't made the Tracy jacket myself, but it's definitely on my list because there's loads of inspiration on Minerva and I love every single one that I've seen. So it's got the 4 pockets, it's got a button placket, it's got the collar, it's kind of like got like a little curved hem, so you could, if you did it in like a lighter weight fabric, it could even be like a nice autumn shacket.
It would make a great shacket.
Really good for the transitional seasons, and then you could pick it in the heavier fabric if you wanted like a really cosy jacket as well, so that's a really fab pattern for that workwear style.
I think another one that has got really that utilitarian workwear vibes is the Painter jacket from Wardrobe by Me. This is perfect for throwing on over whatever you're wearing for the kind of the autumn season. It's got that kind of slightly boxy utilitarian style. It's great for more medium to heavyweight fabrics, so like a cord, a cotton canvas, a twill. You could make it in denim. You could even go with like a light boiled wool if you wanted to make a kind of alternative to like a pea coat. And again, you've got all your different options for pockets to work with that one as well.
And then the final one we've got is the Friday Pattern Company Ilford jacket. I think we've both made this pattern.
We've both made an Ilford jacket. I think everyone's made an Ilford jacket.
Everyone's made an Ilford jacket. So it's a gender neutral pattern. It's got this kind of boxy fit. You've got the sort of hip length jacket, and then you've also got like a slightly longer one as well. And again, it's really good for both lighter weight fabrics, so like a lightweight needle cord, a flannel to make a more shacket style, or again you could go heavier, a canvas, a twill for something like a bit warmer in the winter months. And there's also a hack video on Friday Pattern Company where you can line the jacket as well. So you could even make it super cozy and put like a nice fleece in there.
And one thing I really liked about this pattern is the sheer number of different pocket options.
Yes.
There are so many. So whether you want hand warmer pockets, something to put your pens in, there's all the options you could ever want in there.
Yeah.
It is a really good
It's
pattern.
a really fab pattern, yeah.
Now, if you were going to take on this challenge and do a zero waste workwear jacket, what fabrics would you be angling towards?
Well, I really loved Kit's and Kaz's. So first up, I've got some fabric that really reminds me of Kit's jacket. which is our exclusive checkered rainbow cotton twill.
Look at that
So
colour.
it feels really durable, so it's going to really give you that utilitarian style. This is a medium to heavyweight fabric, so you're going to get that kind of structure that Patrick mentioned that you really want in this kind of fabric. And this is a nice wide fabric, so it's 140 centimetres or 55 inches wide, so really good for fitting all those pattern pieces on.
Yeah, I think width's really important when you're picking a zero waist pattern, so do pay attention to what the pattern's telling you.
Yeah.
A lot of the time they are designed for wide fabrics, so something kind of 50 inches and up,
Yeah.
which all of the ones we've picked out here are.
Yeah.
I think if it's a narrower fabric, not going to work.
Yeah, you're really going to struggle
Really
to
going
get
to struggle
everything
with
on
it.
there.
So that's a lovely choice.
Yeah. The other one I've picked out is really similar to Kaz's, so again I love that bright pink bold fabric that she used. So this is our core range cotton canvas. So it's a little bit heavier than the cotton twill, but still kind of not too heavy that it's going to feel bulky, but you're going to get that structure, you're going to get that utilitarian feel. Again, nice and durable.
Yeah, that's going to be hard wading. That'll see you through a
Yeah.
good few seasons.
Oh, definitely, and it's this lovely bright pink, really bold colour.
So I've gone down the same route and I've picked out two fabrics as well, one plain, one patterned. I am an absolute sucker for a denim jacket.
Oh, you can't go wrong
You
with
can't
a
go
denim
wrong
jacket.
with a denim jacket. So this is our 290 GSM soft washed denim. So this is 100% cotton. It's quite a substantial cotton, but that soft washed quality means that it's surprisingly, it gives it a kind of flexibility to
Yeah,
it.
I have to admit, one of my main pet peeves with denim jackets is when they're too structured and you feel like you can't move.
You don't want
into...
to have like Sarah's cardboard jumper on. You want to feel like it's going to move
Yeah,
with you.
so this feels really
This is
nice.
perfect because it's got a real softness to it, which I think will also make constructing a jacket quite a bit easier. You're not fighting to fold
it's
it.
not going to get too bulky on the seams or anything.
Yeah, and this is the mid blue, but there's 5 different colours in this, so you can choose from a range of different denim blues, and there's a black option there too.
Wow.
And of course, I'm a big patterned fabric fan, so I couldn't miss out the opportunity on choosing something from our Minerva exclusive range. And when you say workwear, I just couldn't resist this beautiful design. So this is our painter's palette print. So you can get this across all of our print-on-demand fabrics. But this is a brand new base cloth that we've only just added to the website. And this is our, give me the right name, the Soft Duck Canvas. So again, this is very substantial. This is a 255 GSM, which puts it in our kind of medium to heavyweight category. But that soft is in the name, and it has got that flexibility and softness.
It's really lovely.
So this is fantastically durable. It's breathable as well as being a cotton, so it'll be great for a jacket. But likewise, if you wanted to make some dungarees with this would be great for a jumpsuit. Bag making, this would be fantastic. Yeah. It's just got real strength and structure to it, but that softness will just make it more comfortable to wear and a bit easier to work with than a stiffer canvas. Absolutely love this.
So onto the transformation challenge, and this week Patrick and Esme gave the sewers some old festival tents. So loads of tents are left behind after music festivals in the summer every year. So they wanted the sewers to repurpose these old tents into a new outfit, a fun and wearable outfit suitable for a festival. So they had 90 minutes to transform their tents, and they could use one tent each, but they had like loads of fabric, and they could also use all of the hardware from the tents, so the zips.
I feel like, if anything, they were highly encouraged to use as much of the tent hardware as possible.
Yeah.
Didn't see any poles in there.
No, or pegs, but lots of zips and buckles and stuff.
Yeah.
So what did you think of this challenge?
I think this was an interesting one. This is absolutely one of those transformation challenges that I would not want to be faced with.
No.
Because I think this was quite challenging. I think it was good in a way to really highlight an area of ridiculous waste.
Yeah,
because
definitely.
the fact that thousands of tents get just binned every year
Yeah.
is criminal. But likewise, there's also part of me thinking, like, is the solution to that to turn them into outfits that no one's going to wear? Maybe
I don't
not.
know, yeah.
But I did think that they did a really good job of facing that challenge, and there was a really interesting mix of different options that came out from it. Which did you like?
I mean, I loved Dan's kind of just the whole vibe that he had going on. It was giving me kind of Princess Leia bikini vibes, but I loved the kind of the chaps, the cape. It was just really fun. It was definitely giving festival.
Yeah, I think he said he was taking his inspiration for like Burning Man, and honestly, I know some people who go and they would totally wear that. So yeah, absolutely nailed the brief.
Yeah.
Looked fantastic. The stitching was great. Even like the line of elastic around the kind of rim of the chaps. It just, everything just fitted really well. I thought, yeah, absolutely, Dan did a fantastic job. Yeah. One that I thought was stunning was Kit's.
Yes.
Now, Kit had taken all that volume of the tent and then really cleverly used all the kind of hardware of the tent to kind of clip it together into this really kind of dramatic puffball skirt.
Yeah.
And then with that kind of mesh top as well.
Yeah.
I guess it didn't read quite as festival, which is maybe why it wasn't in the top two.
Yeah.
But I thought as a transformation, it was amazing.
It was a fabulous transformation. You definitely wouldn't have thought that it was a tent.
Absolutely not.
And I thought it was really kind of on trend. That kind of like bubble hem, puffball skirt type thing is really on trend at the moment. But yeah, would I wear it for a festival? I don't know.
I mean, saying that, there was probably a few there that I would be like, okay, that's going to be awkward for a festival. So maybe one that I didn't think was quite as effective was Stuart's.
Yeah.
So he'd gone for kind of a wrap top, quite a fitted skirt, and then he'd slapped all these unusable pockets all over it for reasons known best to Stuart. It was, I mean, I like the colours.
I like
kind
the
of
colours.
turquoise and orange, but
the unusable pockets.
it's like if you're at a festival and you've got pockets, you want to be using those pockets.
Yeah, I mean the worst thing about when I've bought ready-to-wear clothing, because for some reason they seem to have this thing about women don't need pockets, or just give them a fake one that's sewn up, and it annoys me so much.
You and everyone else.
So to think that Stuart could have made them into usable pockets, and he didn't.
And also, both him and Yasmin had gone for quite fitted skirts, which I think unless they're in a comfy knit fabric, which I'm guessing tent is not, I don't feel like that would be particularly comfortable to wear day long.
I loved Yasmin's top, the way she'd kind of used the guy ropes of the tent to create that kind of tie-back effect. Yeah. She had the quite daring mesh panels.
Yes, the little...
but yeah, I think the skirt definitely would have felt quite restrictive.
Yeah, but if we're talking pockets, I thought... Pocket of the week goes to Kaz's wine bottle pocket down the side of her kind of grey, almost ball gown.
Yeah.
I kind of get where Esme was coming from, that the colour lacked pizzazz. Yeah. It could have done with some pops of colour in there, but the construction was fab. It looked really good.
Really good. I think she definitely used most of the tent fabric, if not all of it, to make this kind of ball gown, and I'm always here for a pocket that fits a wine bottle in it.
Who doesn't love that?
I really liked Orla's kind of like bikini thing that she had going on. So she had this sort of like bikini top and bottoms thing, but then she'd use kind of like some clear fabric from the tent to create this little like over the shoulder like little mini cape thing. She had like little details in like leggings and stuff.
There was lots of nice detail going on in Orla's.
Yeah.
The pants were a bit baggy, a bit cabbagey for me. And I know Esme critiqued the cape for probably being unable to get it over your head, which is probably a major issue. But certainly I thought the style of what she was going for was really good. It was
a good style. I think it did kind of, like you say with Esme, critiquing it for not being able to get it over your head and stuff. I think it kind of highlights when you're draping on a mannequin, you need to think that
Yeah.
You do actually need to be able to put it on rather than sew yourself into the clothes.
Yeah, I mean, at least with Yasmin's, they were like, oh, it's fine, someone could help you get that one on.
Yeah.
There would be no helping probably
No.
get that on. I thought Gaynor's was fine.
Yeah.
Again, Gaynor likes a trouser and a transformation challenge,
Yeah.
but I did like the little kind of apron pocket she
Yeah,
put on the
always
front
useful.
of it. And then she made a top with a hood, which I think for any British festival, having
yeah.
something with a hood gets bonus points because, let's be honest, there's a good
Definitely.
chance you're going to get rained on.
Oh, definitely. And I do think with Gaynor doing trousers as well, like, might be a bit warm, but at least you're not going to get covered in mud too much.
Yeah,
You can
that's
just
true.
Take your trousers off and you'll be, I mean, not nice and clean because you're at a festival, but you won't be absolutely splattered in mud, so there's a bit more protection there.
Yeah. I think, bless her, Jess's difficult day continued with this one. Her kind of bubble dress, it was reading a bit bin bag.
Yeah.
Which I don't think was brilliant. And then she had a kind of hood element with it, which, bonus points for the hood, but it wasn't particularly exciting or flattering. And I think I don't know if she'd used like a lining fabric for the main body of the dress, but it made it feel a bit flat and...
Yeah, and I think they critiqued her for not using enough of the tent, which, again, when you've got all that fabric that comes in a tent, she'd kind of only really used a little bit to make this kind of like mini dress. And
so I understand her ranking there.
Yeah.
Did you agree with the top place this time?
Yeah, I think Dan's was absolutely fabulous, so I really agreed with it.
No, I agree too. I thought he absolutely nailed the brief. It was brilliantly sewn. For me, I'd have probably put kit number 2 because I just thought that looked fantastic.
Yeah, it looked fabulous, yeah. If you were faced with a big tent and told to transform it into some festival wear, what do you think you would have gone for?
I mean, I'm a crafter in my 40s, so I think the last festival I went to was the Festival of Quilts. I think probably my response would be to make some sort of raincoat out of it.
Yeah.
So definitely hood element. I think you've got all those fastenings to get a bit of a kind of duffel coat kind of vibe with your crossing at the top. And then maybe just like a little pair of shorts underneath.
Yeah.
I don't think I would have ranked high on this one.
No, I definitely wouldn't have. I would have taken great pleasure in cutting up a tent because I absolutely hate camping.
So that it, you slashed it up, I'm done.
Yeah. Beyond that, I don't really know. I've not been to a festival, again, because I don't like camping.
Oh, you can go with kit and Gaynor.
Yeah, I don't like camping. I don't like getting dirty. I don't like getting wet. It's not really my kind of place. So I'd have probably gone maybe some kind of little shorts because I think I like the skirt element, but I don't want to be too restricted. Some kind of top, and then I think definitely some kind of hood or rain
and then just
poncho
lots
thing.
of pockets.
Just loads of pockets, that can
Nothing
fit
but
loads of wine
pockets.
bottles in.
All the wine bottles. Now for the final challenge in Reduce, Reuse, Recycle Week, the makers were tasked with taking on the ethos of make, do and mend. They were given 4.5 hours to take a selection of garments, either from their own wardrobe, from friends, or from raiding charity shops, and they were tasked with making an outfit suitable for a family occasion. So suggestions were christening, wedding, or a dog's birthday. So this was a transformation challenge elevated, I guess is one way of putting it.
A bit more planning involved, a bit more time.
Yeah.
And I suppose they've got the opportunity to pick their second-hand garments beforehand rather than just being faced with a random
so
tent,
I kind of
for example.
probably are more mindful. I think it was a real opportunity for people, for the makers to tug on the heartstrings of the judges. There was a lot of very personal stories involved here, which I think was nice to see.
I really like that because I think a lot of us will have garments that we hang on to because they've got sentimental value even though we don't wear them. Either they don't fit anymore or they belong to somebody else. So I think it was nice to show how you can make that into something that can be worn again rather than just sitting in a wardrobe.
Yeah, I think this was a transformation challenge about creating something wearable, something that you'd really cherish.
Yeah.
Rather than, I think sometimes the transformation challenges feel a bit throwaway, a bit disposable.
Yeah.
So it was definitely an interesting challenge. Who do you think rose to the challenge and who was not making the cut?
Stuart. So I thought Stuart had a really interesting idea of taking his dad's old work shirts and this like jacket that he found in a charity shop and creating this like top and skirt set. I liked his idea of keeping elements of the original, like the pockets on the jacket, the cuffs on the shirt. When it was actually made up, I didn't particularly like it.
This was near the bottom for me.
Yeah.
I feel like out of all the contestants in this episode, Stuart's was the one that felt like a transformation challenge.
Yeah.
Yes, it was great that you could read the story of the original garments in it, but is that something that maybe someone could have come up with in 90 minutes? I think given the standard of the contestants, yes, probably.
Yeah.
And then I think if you're going to do something in that manner, it needs to be like immaculate fit, and then it was kind of gaping, a bit. And I was not a fan of this one.
No, I think it. I liked the idea when he was first talking about it, and then when it kind of came down the catwalk and stuff, it just felt a bit underwhelming, I think. And
yeah.
I think compared to what everyone else had managed to achieve in 4.5 hours, it just felt a bit simplistic. And, yeah.
If we're talking underwhelming, another one that didn't move me, but for different reasons, was Yasmin's.
Yeah.
So Yasmin had taken, I think it was a dress that she'd made herself before, and a pair of satin trousers, and she transformed them into a dress suitable for her engagement party.
Yeah.
The fit was lovely. The design was lovely. The execution was lovely. The fabrics were giving twirl. It just didn't have much impact. It was like if it had been kind of pure white with a bit more of a gloss to it, it would have had more impact, but it just felt a bit dull.
Yeah, I think maybe, I'm not sure if she would have had enough fabric, possibly, if she'd switched around the kind of satin trousers to make that into the main part of the dress, so it would have had a bit more of a shimmer.
Yeah.
I think she was using like an old cotton summer dress or something that she'd made. It just kind of felt a bit...
I mean, in her defence, it was so beautifully sewn.
It was lovely.
It was a slightly sheer fabric, so you could see all the internal seams.
I did like the internal seam.
It looked great.
The go days were really neatly sewn. So again, she'd used her time wisely to create something that fitted well and was really neat. But in terms of design and kind of seeing it come down the catwalk, it just felt a bit.
It didn't have a fanfare.
Yeah.
Another one that I thought was nicely done, but wasn't my favourite, was Orla's.
Yes.
So Orla had very much gone down the Christmas route, like Dan last week, but encouraged this time.
Yeah.
So she had taken I think it was a velvet skirt from her aunt's.
Yeah.
And paired that with an outfit from her mum's that she'd never worn.
Yeah.
So it was two different kind of, a green and red velvet, which she paired into this really nice tunic top.
Yeah.
I think really nice is kind of how I describe it.
Yeah, again, it was similar to some of the previous ones. It was beautifully sewn, and she'd really kind of made it neat. She'd taken her time on it, but again, it just didn't have the kind of wow factor that some of the other ones
it was absolutely very wearable. I could see someone serving up Christmas dinner in that.
Oh yeah.
Probably being a bit warm in their velvet.
Just a little bit.
And it had pockets, so bonus points for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it was middle of the road.
Yeah.
It did have frog fasteners, and I'm a fan of a frog fastener.
Yeah, they do look very nice.
But yeah, safe.
Yeah.
Safe.
On the theme of Christmas, though, I really liked how Dan took those kind of his family's Christmas pyjamas, which is like really kind of a tradition for a lot of families nowadays, is that everyone gets matching pyjamas, and he cut them all up. And the way he used the kind of lettering that had been on the pyjamas, and he kind of weaved it into almost like a new piece of fabric to cut that bodice out. So you could see these kind of gold flecks, but it wasn't giving Christmas anymore.
It was so well done.
Yeah.
I think both him and Kaz spent a lot of time constructing a fabric, which I think I'll talk about this in a bit. There's a few different ways I think of approaching a challenge like this, and it was so clever. It took, if you knew that it said Christmas, then it would bring back all those memories.
Yeah.
But if you didn't know, it just looked like an abstract design.
Yeah, it looked like a dress, I think, that you would genuinely see in shops and things,
well,
like a party dress.
Honestly, this was almost harking back to Versace challenge for me, that black and gold. Maybe he didn't leave himself quite enough time for the skirt, so it wasn't quite as polished as I think maybe he would have liked. I'd have loved to have seen maybe a bit more volume with the skirt.
Yeah.
But that kind of fit and flare skater dress silhouette
it's a really
was
classic
brilliant.
style.
It looked fantastic on his model. It fitted beautifully.
Yeah.
Fantastic week for Dan.
Yeah, and then also he got to use that kind of faux fur shawl that he'd made for his mum to repurpose it into this little muff thing, which I think kind of gave it Christmas party dress, winter party dress.
I think he absolutely ticked the brief for upcycling. He ticked the brief for a made to measure that fitted really well, and he really brought that personal story into it. It was just lovely.
It was a really lovely garment.
Likewise, I thought Kaz did a lovely job of literally weaving her family jeans into an outfit. She'd taken, I think it was a lot of her husband's kind of gardening outfits, and it was just so lovely the way that the finished garment, this lovely kind of jumpsuit, showed all the kind of love and wear of the original garments, the pocket with the mobile phone wearing it, the point where it had been repaired lots of times.
Yeah, I think that the way Kaz did that compared to how Stuart kept the original elements of his garment, I think it shows that you can keep the original kind of elements of garments, but it needs to be done in kind of you need to think about your kind of pattern placement and everything when you're creating your fabric or cutting things up, because I think it worked really well for hers, even though she had a pocket down the bottom of the leg and things. It kind of
I kind of like that.
It worked, and it looked. You could tell it was made of old jeans, but it looked like a denim jumpsuit.
What I did really like is the way she used just these little flashes of that kind of red and gold brocade, which they were really nicely placed. I think she's got a really good design eye for kind of balance.
Yeah, because I think something like that, it can just look too random and too just sort of
it can look too random or too precise.
Yeah,
it was just really nicely done.
Yeah, she'd really done a really good job on that one.
I think then in terms of working with denim, Kit also did a fantastic job. They had picked out, I think, a lot of pairs of jeans from their friends and created this panelled ombre dress going from the light denim out to the dark denim. Absolutely beautifully
Love
done.
that, and I think that's one of the advantages of denim is that it comes in all these different colours that complement each other. So if you've got lots of old scraps of denim or old jeans, old denim jackets, you can kind of pair them together and they work well together. You can kind of get that colour blocking effect, but if you're a bit nervous about doing really bright different colours, denim's a really great place to start for that kind of thing.
Absolutely, and I thought it was just a shame that the fit at the bust wasn't perfect. I feel like that was the only thing distracting from it. That kind of chevron detail down that back zip was just lovely.
And I really love the bold kind of zip as well that they use.
And I feel like this is something that I would want to take inspiration from, because we've got a box in our sewing room of all our old pairs of jeans with full intention of upcycling them at some point. So maybe I'll take some inspiration from this and go with something a little bit ombre.
Yeah, I mean, I've still got all my scraps of denim that I picked up at our remnant sale, which I have every intention of making into some kind of denim something. But yeah, I've got a plan-ish.
And then the only ones we haven't talked about then are probably the ones sitting towards the bottom.
Yeah.
So Jess had a lovely story behind hers. She'd used her mum's old dental lab coat, and then she'd also used something from her sister's, who also makes, to create this kind of like little kind of ruffle hem top and skirt. I didn't love it.
No, it was...
The combination of fabrics, they worked together.
It worked well. Red and white, it's a cute little combination. I didn't love the raw edge thing on the top.
Yeah, she'd kind of left the edge raw because she knew she wasn't gonna have time.
Yeah.
So had then done this zigzag stitch along it, which maybe just accentuated that raw edge more. And then at the last minute, she just hacked the whole thing off. And I'm like, oh God.
Yeah.
If that had been hemmed properly, I think it would have looked better. But I still don't think it would have been one of my favourite outfits.
It wouldn't have been one of my favourites, but I think she could have at least avoided the kind of critique of having raw edges on her fabric.
Yeah.
I think it was probably just she'd not had a very good time in the first two challenges. She was panicking. She was, there was a lot riding on this final challenge for her, and I think maybe the pressure got to her.
Yeah. It's a shame because I think objectively, comparing that against Gaynor's, I thought Jessie's was probably a little bit better than Gaynor's.
Yeah.
But Jess had just had such a bad day.
Yeah.
So Gaynor had taken a couple of dresses that she had like personal attachments to.
Yeah.
I think one of them she'd made, and turned them into a top and a skirt.
Yeah.
Mixing this, I think it was like a black satin and this more
like
sequiny fabric. I thought the mix of fabrics was nice.
Yeah.
It was a clever choice to do little ribbon ties when she ran out of time for the buttons, but the fit wasn't good. She pulled out the neckline when she was fitting it, and Gaynor is an exceptional sewist, so she must have been so frustrated at making a mess on this one.
Yeah.
And she definitely struggled with that issue of upcycling, that once you cut something out, if you've cut it wrong,
you don't have that piece again. But I think it was a nice idea. I think she'd kind of paired the fabrics well. So the little like waistcoat top she had, that was mainly made out of the sequin fabric. She'd made sure she had bits of that sequin fabric on the skirt, so they did definitely match up as a co-ord. And I did like the ribbon ties. I feel like realising you don't have enough time to do your original plan can send you into a panicked spiral. I think she kept calm and just thought, I'll do these ribbon ties really quickly and at least it will be finished and it'll be
not just make do amend, keep calm and carry on too.
So
she's ticking all the boxes. So the garment of the week winner this week, do you agree?
I do. I really liked Dan's make. I think it was really neatly sewn. It had a really lovely personal story behind it. I couldn't fault it really. I think it was a well-deserved garment of the week.
Yeah, I felt the same. It was a good week for Dan. I feel like he absolutely ticked the brief. It was nicely done. Honestly, if Kaz or Kit had won, I would have been happy too.
Yeah, they would have definitely been well deserved.
Because I felt like all three of those really did an amazing transformation and created something that you would absolutely be happy to go out to a special event and be seen in. So I think they all did quite good.
Yeah.
So we're halfway through the series now. This is episode 5. I thought it might be a good opportunity, especially while we're talking all the maths of zero waste, to look at how the figures are stacking up. So thus far on the pattern challenge, out of 5 challenges so far, Kit's won 4 of them.
The pattern challenge is definitely Kit's challenge, isn't it?
Absolutely.
They've always been, I think they're one of the few people who have never really struggled with time. It always seems to be they're getting towards the end of the pattern challenge, everyone else is panicking,
they're
running around in a rush, and they're just steaming their garment on the mannequin like, oh, I finished about half an hour ago.
So I mean, Kit did say they've got a maths degree, and maybe some of that kind of analytical side really helps them do well. Kaz also won one, and Kaz always does well in the pattern challenges too, so they're absolutely the lead stars for the pattern challenge. Now when it comes to the transformation challenge, Dan won this time. Kaz has won once, and Kit's won 3 times.
Ooh.
So again, Kit's very good at the transformation challenge.
Yeah, I think it's, again, the transformation challenge, I think, is you've only got 90 minutes. The most important thing, I think, is not to panic and kind of go, I don't know what to do with these random bits of material I've been given, and just keep calm and think, okay, how am I going to make taekwondo belts or a tent or whatever into a garment? And I think Kit's got that kind of creative eye as well, to sort of be able to see something and, you know, something really quite random. And
yeah, I think when it comes to creativity, Kit, Dan and Kaz, they're all really good at just going, hey, I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
And following through on that and being able to do a great job of it.
I think if you're more of a traditional sewer, you're very much, you know, into following patterns and things, maybe the kind of idea of not being given any sort of pattern or anything and just being like, here's some fabric, off you go, you've got 90 minutes.
It can be hard.
Yeah.
And then when it comes to the all-important garment of the week, our winner so far on this is Kaz, who's had 2 garments of the week. Orla had 1 for Activewear Week. Dan won this week. And also Peter, who's now eliminated, won in week 1 for his fantastic shoulders. So where does that put the makers? What's the pecking order?
Yeah, it's quite varied across the garment of the week, which I think is nice. It's always nice to kind of see different sewers get highlighted and things rather than it just being the same person each week. I think it's interesting that I think there's some sewers, Kit in particular, I think has had some really amazing made to measure challenges. We've not seen
likewise, I feel like Yasmin could have won for me in the Design Icons week.
Yeah, I think Gaynor as well. Gaynor's, she's maybe not doing as bold statement pieces as everybody else, but she's really neat with her sewing. It generally always fits very well. You know, she really takes her time over it, and it's interesting that she's not had any sort of garment of the week thing yet.
Yeah, well, we're halfway through.
Yeah.
Anything could change. We'll see what happens in the next few weeks. So this week, I thought rather than us talk about what we would make, partly to make life a little bit easier for us, because this is a hard one, I thought we'd talk about different ways of upcycling garments and good patterns for reusing garments and remnants of fabric. Now, I think there's a few different ways that you can tackle upcycling. Stuart's was very much the take what you've got and make something new with it, but you can see what the original one was. Another option is to do something like Kit did, like Orla did, which is using your garments as your fabric and then cutting out the pattern pieces from those. And then the alternative, the furthest, most involved one, is kind of the Dan and Kaz cut up your fabric, make new fabric, make a whole new fabric from it, and then work from that. So I think in terms of working with patterns, the easiest one is probably what Kit and Orla did, and cutting pattern pieces. So I think that probably like for me, like this pattern, something with panels. The smaller each individual pattern piece is, the easier it's going to be. Definitely. So here's a few patterns then we've picked out that we think would be good for upcycling maybe some treasured garments or some remnants of fabric that you've got.
So the first one we've picked out is Vogue 8997, and it's this fabulous dress pattern. There's loads of different options in there, but the ones we're really looking at is these options with like these side panels. So you're going to have a smaller pattern piece, so you can cut sort of like use up your remnants. You could go for kind of like a colour blocked look, kind of monochrome look. So I think that's a really good option for kind of using up your fabric scraps, anything that's got kind of like side panels or panel pieces. Princess seams is another one that kind of uses different panels and things.
Yeah, I feel like this View D, it gives you that opportunity to make something maybe like kits where you've got that kind of ombre
effect. Yeah, definitely. I suppose if you really wanted to challenge yourself, these views with the fuller skirt, you could kind of do kind of what Dan did and try and create a big piece of fabric out of smaller pieces and then cut your skirt pieces from that.
One that this is literally on my shelf and might be one that I'll do with my scraps of denim. It's the Mimi G Style Simplicity 8845 jeans jacket. Now this is a unisex pattern for men, for women. It's a really classic jeans jacket, but this is really good because you've got lots of panels again.
Yeah.
So even the back view, there's different kind of panels down the back. So if you want to create something from a few old pairs of jeans, maybe you've got like a denim skirt lying around, or an old chambray dress or something, I think this would be a great option. And then you can mix and match, so like those slightly triangular panels down the front could be a different, you've got your pockets which could then be a different fabric. You can do your collars, your cuffs, you've got a lot of options there for using different types of fabric, and I think the fact that it's unisex means you can use up scraps for the whole family.
Yeah. The next one I've picked out is the Style Arc Quinn woven top, and it's got these kind of panelled pieces. So you've got like one that goes down the side, you've got these two bits kind of across the body as well. So I think this is a really great pattern for using up kind of some larger pieces and some smaller pieces of woven fabric. And because you've got these seams going in the different direction, you could kind of play a bit with patterns, play a bit with kind of directional prints, or just some plains as well. So that's a really fab one. And because it's a top, you're not going to need loads of fabric to start with. So if you've got some smaller pieces of scraps, that's a really great one to try. And Style Art patterns are always really size inclusive as well. So they've got a really wide size range.
If you are inspired by my colour blocked shirt, then here's an option that I think is maybe gives you even more flexibility. So this is McCall's 8459, which is a men's shirt. On the artwork on the front, you've got this kind of clear contrast. So you've got placket panels, a band at the bottom, and cuffs that you can do in different fabric. But I'm a particular fan of view A here, in which splits the front into each side of the front into 4 panels. So this would be fantastic if you've got long, narrow strips. Yeah. So you could cut those out of the backs of different shirts, for example. Yeah. If you've got some light trousers, you could even make a denim jacket, shacket style shirt by doing different strips from trouser legs. I think this would be a really interesting one, and I love the kind of inspiration they've got on the front cover, which is giving that kind of ombre vibe to it. So I think this one might be one that I'll give a go sometime soon.
So the next one I've picked out is another Style Art pattern. This is the Ethel top. So again, it's got these kind of like panelled, sort of like diagonal seams going on. Again, being a top, you're not going to need loads of fabric to start with, so really great for using up your scraps. And it's also got some facings in the neck and on the sleeves. So again, if you've got some fabric, I mean, scraps of fabric are great for doing facings, especially if it's like ones, because they're not going to be seen, so you could use something like really random from your scrap bin. I'm sure we've all got a scrap bin.
We have.
So again, using those diagonal seams, you could play with directional prints, you could play with plains and prints, colour blocking, so loads of options with that one.
And then lastly, if you've got lots of scraps that you want to use up, or various garments that you'd like to upcycle, then smaller projects are a great way to do that. So bag making is one option. Another great option is kids patterns. The beauty about kids wears, they're all a bit smaller, especially because we've got Kids Week coming up next week. So I think this would be a particularly lovely option. So this is Butterick 7049. Now it's already a colour block design, so it's really giving you those different options. So you've got this beautiful asymmetric gathered skirt on it as well, which also has the benefit of then splitting that dress up into 4 different panels, and then you've got these cute little sleeves with this little hem detail. So you've got lots of different areas that you could use different fabrics. You could mix and match. You could have like two fabrics used in different ways. I think it's just a cute little dress.
It is a cute little
I think it
dress.
will be absolutely lovely, even just in a solid print,
Yeah.
if you wanted to do it just in one colour. But I think the options that this gives you would just be so lovely. Or maybe if you've made a dress for yourself and you've got a little bit of fabric left over, a little mummy and me pairing,
really
I think
cute.
would just be adorable.
So that's it for episode 5 of Sewing Bee for 2025. So let us know in the comments below, what did you think of the episode? Are you inspired to upcycle some old garments or go through your scraps bin? Did the right garment with Garment of the Week? And who have you got your eye on for a place in the final? So next week is Kids Week, so the sewers will be tackling very small garments. So they're tackling some adaptive dungarees, they're making maternity wear into toddler outfits, and then the made to measure looks really interesting. They're kind of making outfits inspired by what they wanted to be when they grew up, when they were like their dream childhood job, which I think all of us have some weird and wonderful thing that we wanted to be when we were a kid, so I'm interested to see what outfits come out of that one.
Yeah, I always think Kids Week is a very interesting one, and quite often one that throws people.
Yeah.
It's often that week where someone really good ends up having a dreadful week and going out.
Yeah.
So fingers crossed none of your favourites struggle this week, but yeah, interested to see how they do it. I particularly think that childhood dreams made to measure could be really fun.
Yeah.
I think it's an opportunity to do something really crazy and out there.
Oh
with that.
yeah, definitely, yeah. So join us next Wednesday for our next Sewing Bee catch up, and if you enjoyed the video today, don't forget to give us a like and a follow so our videos will always pop up in your feed. And if you've not done so already, create a free account on Minerva, because we would love to see all of the things that you've been making inspired by the Sewing Bee. Share your upcycling projects, share your scrap busting projects, get involved in the conversation, and there's loads going on every day on site. There's loads of inspiration. It's a really lovely community, so hop over there and get involved, and we will see you next Wednesday. Bye.